Have you ever, like, I don't know, just been shocked looking at the price of new PlayStation or Xbox games here in South Africa?
Yeah.
You know, like you want to pick up the latest title, but it's like 1,300 Rand,
Yeah.
maybe even 1,500 sometimes.
hmm
And then you realize that people in the U.S. are paying like $70.
Right.
And you just kind of think to yourself, like, is this just the exchange rate?
Yeah.
Or is gaming becoming like this crazy
That's
luxury?
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I think that's a great question, and it's really what we're going to dig into today.
Yeah, let's dive in.
We've got some cool stuff here, comparing prices,
Oh, yeah.
wages too.
Interesting.
We'll see how South African gamers are kind of adapting to all this.
How we make it work.
Exactly. It's about going beyond that simple currency conversion and like really seeing what the pressures are.
All right, so let's talk about that price gap.
Okay.
We know a big game in the U.S.,
Yep.
a AAA title, going to cost you about $70.
Right.
But here, you're looking at 1,300, 1,500 Rand for the same game on your PS5 or your Xbox Series X.
Uh-huh.
It's wild.
Right.
But then you do see some regional pricing sometimes, especially on PC.
Yeah, you do.
Like, remember when Elden Ring launched?
Oh, yeah.
On Steam, for those who don't know, that's like a big online store for computer games.
Right.
That was only like 999 Rand.
That was great.
So there's that. And then, of course, there's the whole physical versus digital thing.
Right.
Which has its own pricing quirks.
Absolutely. In both places.
In both places, exactly.
Yeah. And I think what's really fascinating here is what that price actually like represents, you know, in terms of work.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
So if we look at, let's say, March 2025's exchange rate,
Right.
which was 18.58 Rand to the dollar.
Okay.
The South African minimum wage was 27.58 Rand per hour.
So working a minimum wage job
Yeah.
to buy a new game at 1,300 Rand, you are working 50 hours.
That's a lot of work, right?
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, that's completely different if you compare it to the U.S. Federal minimum wage is $7.25.
right.
There's $70 game.
Yeah.
It's about 9.5 hours of work.
Much less.
It's crazy. And then if you take it even further, like to a state like Washington,
Okay.
they've got a higher minimum wage there. It's like $16.28.
Wow.
That same game is just over 4 hours of work.
Huge difference.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
It really does, yeah.
For us here.
And I think it's also important to remember it's not just about the games themselves.
No, it's the whole ecosystem.
Exactly. It's the bigger picture.
The consoles are expensive, too.
Yeah. So like the PlayStation 5, when that launched, around 1999 Rand here.
Oof.
But in the U.S., it was $499.
Yeah, it's that same kind of gap.
Yeah. Similar thing with the Xbox Series X.
And, you know, beyond the exchange rate, you've got to think about things like import duties, right?
Of course.
Those logistical costs that are they just hit us harder here.
Definitely. And the smaller consumer base probably plays a role.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Makes those retail prices higher.
Absolutely.
And then you've got the internet.
Right. The internet.
If you want to download these big digital games,
Huge downloads.
but data is so expensive.
Yeah, it's a big problem here.
It's a big problem here. It makes those digital downloads, even though they might be a bit cheaper to start with,
Yeah.
they become way less appealing.
Less appealing. Yeah.
Whereas in the U.S., with their cheaper, more stable internet,
Yeah.
they've got options like cloud gaming.
Right. Cloud
It's
data.
barely a thing here for a lot of people.
That's true. Yeah.
So, I mean, given all of this, how do South African gamers actually manage? How are we playing?
Well, that's where things get interesting. I think what's really cool is how resourceful people are.
Oh, yeah, we're masters of adaptation.
Absolutely. So sales events like Black Friday,
Black Friday, yeah.
those are massive here.
Huge.
Or those discounts you see on a PlayStation Store or Steam.
Yeah.
It becomes all about waiting for those price drops.
You've got to be patient.
You do, and that's an important thing to remember.
Yeah.
Because that waiting, it actually means potentially less money for the people who made the game.
That's a good point, yeah.
Right, so maybe they have to make those new games more expensive to kind of balance things out.
It's like a vicious cycle.
Yeah, it could be.
And then, of course, the secondhand market is huge here.
It is. It's massive.
Buying and trading used games.
Yeah,
That's how you save money.
absolutely.
And then there are the subscription services,
Right.
like Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, Game Pass.
129 Rand a month.
It's a great deal.
PlayStation Plus Extra, 225 Rand a month.
It's so much value.
You get access to so many games.
You do. Tons of games.
It's way cheaper than buying new all the time.
Definitely, yeah. If you like playing a lot of different games.
Right. It's all about that variety.
Yeah. And we mentioned earlier, we do see regional pricing on some PC platforms,
Right.
but not so much on consoles.
Not so much on consoles. Not yet. Not yet. So looking ahead, I mean, what does the future hold for gaming prices here?
It's a big question.
Big question. Will more digital sales bring the costs down?
Maybe.
What about these subscription models?
Yeah, they're going to play a role.
And the RAND, it's always fluctuating.
Oh, yeah. It's unpredictable.
Could cloud gaming ever become like a viable thing here?
Possibly. Yeah.
So many things at play?
Yeah, there are a lot of factors. I think how digital distribution evolves, those subscription services,
Right.
currency fluctuations, whether we get better internet infrastructure.
All that stuff's going to impact if gaming's affordable or how affordable it is.
Exactly.
So for all of you listening in South Africa, how do you make it work?
Yeah, how do you manage?
Are you waiting for those sales?
Yeah, are you patient?
Are you hitting up the secondhand market?
Are you trading games?
Or are you a Game Pass, PlayStation Plus subscriber?
Dedicated subscriber.
Let us know.
Yeah, and think about this, like, given how long you might need to work
Right.
just to afford a new game,
At these prices.
what does that really say about what gaming means to you here?
Yeah.
How important is it as entertainment?
Yeah. Deep stuff.
Someone to think about.
Food for thought.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Cheers.